Hello, how are you? How is everyone? How is the going? Yeah, I'm back again. It's been a while. How is everyone doing? Today, I'm here to talk about to digest our politics. Basically, I'll be dwelling much more on Kenyan politics this week, and we really have to understand what do politicians think when they go in their contest. Thank you for sharing once more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following my page, my channel. So far, I think we will be using YouTube alone. We won't consider, we won't, we won't consider, we won't consider, sorry for the inconvenience, we won't consider any other platforms like Facebook and some other platforms because we think YouTube is enough. Facebook is crowded with, I don't know how to term it, but inappropriate information. So we think at least YouTube will be much better. It will be better for informative information and content just like ours. So once again, I don't have to introduce myself again. I'm going to talk about politics like I had earlier communicated. I want us to understand what's in the back of a politician, the back of the head of the politician. What do politicians think? How do they take us? How do they think of us? What you need to understand and embrace. Politics is about interests and people coming together and sharing resources. And politics is basically who gets what in a particular deal or agreement. So the challenge with politics, it deals with our day-to-day life and we can't do away with it. But sometimes these politicians tend to think that they have the how do I call it? They're the one that they were good given. They were sent by God to govern us, which is a very unpopular narrative and a very dangerous narrative if they take it in that perspective. They are supposed to be our servants, but yet they are not. Why? Why is this happening? So what is not happening? Politics, I think, me personally, in my own opinion, Africans were not ready for politics. This politic of, political parties, rule of law, constitutions, a parliament. We are not ready for that. Elections. For us, we are used to with our way of governance. That was a monarchy, emperors, kingdoms, chiefdoms. We are used to, and we are okay with that. But the moment these Europeans brought in and these colonialists brought in their way, that's when we lose track. Either if you want to correct the wrongs we have, all the mess, to clear the mess we are in right now, we need to go back to our things, the way we used to do it, which is a very hard thing to achieve. Because now the politicians have become very greedy. They are very hungry for power. Everyone that comes up is all about how can I get power? How can I control this region? How can I control this? Everyone, no one cares about the one inch. No one cares about the people at the bottom. No one does. The only thing they care about is their self-preservation, power. Even if you see an LOC1 chairman, they fought tooth and nail to retain their seats. But how can any country or any society prosper in such a society where everyone cares about what will I be tomorrow? What am I going to achieve? We can't be like that. But the challenge, we have no mechanism to express our feelings. The spectrum they put in place for us to participate into the politics of our countries, respective countries, is very limited. So me as a citizen, I can't go to parliament to say I would air out what I think of my views. Yet these are people. lay out policies and pass regulations that I'm supposed to follow and are supposed to affect my day-to-day life. Yet I have no control over them. Me personally, there are some, like, let's say if I vote a president and he doesn't win, so another candidate goes into power. I didn't vote for that person. Now what happens to me? Am I supposed to ask for accountability for a person I didn't vote for? So there's so many checks and balances of how the thing is supposed to work. Take an example: if someone gets 40%, like Gaddafi used to have a saying, like, I don't do elections because if, let's say, I get 60% of the votes, what will I do with the rest of the 40% that didn't vote for me? What will happen to them? Am I supposed to deny them services because they didn't vote for me? So it was a lacuna in its own making. So I want us to move away from that. But how can we do that? Leaders don't come out of elections. A leader is supposed to be decisive. Politicians are not decisive. They just swing with the people. Where they see people, many people, they go. They don't have principles. They don't have direction. They don't have anything. They just follow what's popular. A leader must be a risk taker, must be a decision maker. You're not supposed to follow decisions. You're not supposed to follow orders. You're supposed to guide your people. But politics, you say what people want to hear. Even if it's not right, most of our people are generally, what do I call it? Primitive. Isn't that demeaning? But their way of seeing things, they use short lenses. They don't, not all of them can look beyond 5 to 10 years. But a leader has to be a visionary. You can look 50 years from now. What will the country look like in that years? But the politicians don't care. They just care about the next 5 years. What will happen? Will I be elected? So that's why it doesn't matter. Even if he lies to you in the next 5 years, that won't matter. Because now if I stand for an MP seat, you vote for me after peddling lies, then after 5 years, I come back, I tell you another story, you vote for me, 20 years down the road, I have done nothing, yet you have been paying me for doing something I'm not supposed to do. So what I suggest, leaders are not supposed to be voted for. It should be a consensus. That's my number one recommendation and opinion. We need to sit down and agree on someone that is going to vote for us. And he must be accepted everywhere. Not just coming up with two candidates like in an electoral commission, coming up with the two candidates. These people are now going to contest, leaving out the rest of the people that have just because they don't have money, just because they are in the wrong, maybe wrong, they come from the wrong part of the country. Maybe there's so many reasons based on you don't have political capital, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have money for registration, you don't have a political party. Some countries don't, you need a political party to contest. So how can we be guided by that and expect it to develop? Me, what I care about is not who is in power. Me personally, the only thing I care about is are services going down to the people? Are things being done the way they are supposed to be? How is the lives of the ordinary people being improved? That's what I care about. And I think everyone should care only about that. I don't care who is leading. That's not my problem to worry about. But the challenge with let's say now developing countries like especially Africa, what we do with our politics, we put the whole responsibility of the service delivery to the politicians. The politicians don't care about the services or the ordinary people. They don't care. Most of these guys are poor. They are pure crooks. They just need money to survive. Now you take this kind of person just because he can demonstrate, just because he can dance for you on rallies, you vote for him. He's looking for money. So the next day they buy him, or he goes away from, he deviates from what he had promised, and then you quarrel. But you voted the crook knowing But after things happening, not happening, you start complaining. That's what I always get problems with the electorate. They vote for a stupid MP. After a stupid MP doing what they didn't want them to do, now they start crying foul. Yesterday they voted the person knowing that he's a fake guy. But how can a country survive in such? I think service delivery should be based and left to the technocrats. We do our policies, we do our politics away from the services. Regardless of who is in power, people are still entitled to services. Because no one, so if I pay the tax, now how can you deny me services? Let's say like in Uganda, you vote for a guy, even if you don't vote for him, but you still pay tax. How is tax related with not voting for you? I still pay tax. I'm a tax abiding citizen. Very tax low. I pay my tax. Now you say, I want to give you roads because you didn't vote for me. Then don't even tax me if you don't want me to give me anything. So that's a challenge I see with politics. The moment you give responsibilities of service delivery to politicians, these guys are just scavengers. So what we need to understand, politicians are all liars. The moment you see them in suits, they just need, I don't know how to call it. You know conmen, how conmen behave. They're very smart, very fluent with fluent English, very good looking men. But the time you realize that this guy is a real crook, when you look for your $100,000 in your wallet or bank account and it's not there, that's when you realize. But we need to reconsider the way we elect our leaders, and we need to refocus as Africans, especially, and the other developing countries. We need to reconsider our priorities. Our priorities is not democracy. It has never been. You have never had democracy in Africa. We don't need it. Because no any single country that had democracy. Let no one lie you about that. There is no any single country with democracy, pure democracy. They are just lies. I have never seen any peaceful change of state. Leave alone change of government, that's different. But change of state, I've never seen it anywhere in the world. You remember the American Civil War? What was it about? You see the war in Ethiopia, what is it about? All there was, look at everywhere that a state is, when a state is challenged, it is very, very desperate. It kills, it does so many things for survival. So let's don't focus about democracy because this is a lie and it's an illusion. Because democracy is perpetual. And in any developing country, you can't have democracy because the level of understanding is not at the same level. So if you say a professor with with the two PhDs has one vote, and my friends in the village Kakuto who has a senior 4 certificate or a P7 certificate also has one vote. I think that's a very, 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 very unserious analogy I've ever seen. It can't happen. Their way of seeing things. That's why in America they introduced an electoral college. Because these people, their way of looking at things will be, shallow. They'll be looking at simple, simple things. And they won't care about that. So, but if you get serious people, like when let's say Uganda, we need leaders. How can we get leaders? We sit down in a consensus. You know what? We sit and agree. We are going to make a committee of 10 people that will rule our country. That 10 people will include leaders from religious leaders. Let's say like they are like a three. We get one. Why we get in each region, we get like every region, like let's say Uganda has Had like five or six regions. We get there one person from each region. The one that is born from there, not this one that just come around. So those people will be more responsible for their country. But if you get someone, even his birth information is not so clear, give him any position, even if it's an LOC1 chairmanship, that guy will not even care about what happens to the natives. That's why they don't care, because you trust the wrong people. Stop trusting politicians. Get real competent people that are tested. That's my prescription for Africa's problems. Otherwise, we are going to be in this mess all over again, and that's what these people want. That's what these guys want.